What's up, boys? So this is week 4, I believe. Week 3 of November. Week 4 of tracking pretty much the trading journey so far. November has been really slow. So this week we lost 1.5%, which really isn't bad at all. I think it was 1.5%. It actually might have been less. I think it was it was 1.5%. Yeah, 1.5%. I'll go over the trades and stuff like that. This week was very interesting because like my mentor actually, this week was the most he lost, which he was negative 4% for the week. I skipped a few of his trades. I only managed to go down 1.5% for the week, which is not bad at all. But yeah, I'll go over those trades. I'm trying to think of anything specific for this week. It's mostly the government reopened at the beginning of the week, so it was just markets were just kind of getting back used to the government being open. It was just kind of a lot of bad setups. It was very slow. It's been slow since the start of November, to be honest. But towards the end of the week, when the markets started to kind of get used to the government reopening and stuff, it started to create more clear setups. It seemed like that on Thursday and Friday, which Thursday was NFP day. I didn't trade, obviously. But then Friday, it had some clean setups. So hopefully next week, which will be the last week of November, we'll get at least a good trade. We had Friday today, which was the only A+ setup that we had for probably the whole month. As far as the volume profile looking good, the POC near take profit, bottom zone demand, great liquidity sweep, 30-minute time frame, all that, like everything lined up. And there was USD news at I believe it was like 9:30 a.m. And originally it didn't have an effect, and we're like, okay, cool, like we're good to hold. And then it kind of had like a late effect, and then it ended up affecting the trade. And it kind of came back down to our break-even point. It was just bouncing around. I think I closed for not 1%, but like 0.5%. It was just right under my break-even point. I just got out because obviously news is uncertain. It was USD news, which we were trading GJ. It wasn't even on the same pair. But yeah, we were on a Friday, and we were shooting for like a 1 to 5 risk reward. With that news coming out, it's just not realistic, and it would have stopped us out, and then now it's going in our way because obviously the trend still aligns. It's just very unfortunate that news actually had a negative impact on our trade. So I at least protected myself from another 0.5% if I would have held that trade. Acted on what the market is showing us, how news presented itself, how news came out, how news was going to affect the trade. But that's pretty much the only good setup we saw this week, and the whole time market's been closed. I mean, not market's been closed, government's been closed. So hopefully with it reopening, we had this full weekend. Hopefully we're gonna next week, last week of November, get at least some clean trades or a good trade. It's kind of funny because this is the exact same thing that happened in October. We had 3 just bad weeks, and the last week we finally had just one good setup, and that's all it took. It was a 1 to 10, and it's kind of the same this time, except last month in October I was down 8% coming into the last week. But this time I'm only down 3%, which is nothing. I've been risking 0.5% where POC is at entry, and then full 1% when POC is in my direction. So I'll pull up the trades, go over what I skipped this week. I know there's some people in the Discord that actually lost. Well, again, my mentor even lost 4%, but they were losing 5 or 6%. Almost lost their accounts this week. It was just, there's just people they can't stay patient. And I'm not saying my mentor or anything, but my mentor doesn't use this volume profile that I'm going over, and that kind of saved me a couple trades. But I'll go over that real quick, and I'll pull up my chart. All right, boys, here we are. So this is the positions for this week. 6 positions I've written down. I literally think it's been like that for the last, probably since I started doing these. Tuesday, we had Euro USD 5-minute trade. So this was this trade right here. Pretty self-explanatory. So Euro USD was very bearish. Then we started creating bullish structure. We started taking out these highs to the left. We started putting in higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We have this nice level of liquidity here, right here. Now, two things about this trade. I don't ideally like that we swept liquidity, even though it's just a small amount, and then we retraced up and then we took it out again. You kind of want one clean move showing it's sweeping liquidity, throwing in those orders and then reacting from our demand, rather than sweeping liquidity and then doing its own thing, then coming back down later when there's less liquidity to sweep because it already swept it the first time. So there was that, and then I simply skipped this because, first of all, actually, this wasn't even in my time frame, but I figured I'd go over it. POC was not valid. So if the POC is like under your entry candle like that, it's not valid. I skip it, and that's exactly what happened. Price just pretty much went straight down and stopped the people out that took it. So that was the one trade I skipped. Let me put that back on there. So that would have been, yeah, pretty much 1% saved. So then we have UJ 8 a.m. So this one I did take. Go over this. Not too sure where this trade is at. What day did that say? Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday, 8 a.m. Okay, right down here, I think. Oh, that was at 2 in the morning. Bear with me here. Tuesday. What the fuck? What the hell? I don't know what is going on here. I don't even know what that is. Our trade should be there. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I can go on FXCM and see. Tuesday, 8 a.m. I don't know what happened. The trade was right here. I mean, yeah, Vantage and the wicks and stuff might be different. But yeah, I can still go over it here. Again, it's going to look a little bit different on Vantage. But same deal. We had our liquidity here. Price came down in a clean line. We were obviously bullish. Really nothing to go against you in this trade. Clearly trending up, taking out highs to the left. We have a nice level of liquidity right in front of our demand zone. We also have a demand zone down here as well. But we had a good, nice reaction. Long position there. Stop loss right under the wick. And then take profit at these highs. So let me double check the volume profile. I can't remember exactly. It's either at entry or I believe it was actually at entry. Yeah, so it was at entry. So this is when I take pretty much 50% risk. So I risk 0.5%. And as you can see, it literally reacted actually off that POC instantly. We did end up closing above, and then we just continued to the downside, consolidate a little bit more, and then continued in our intended direction. So that was that trade. Again, you can see how that POC works like a magnet pretty much. It's insane. I'm still testing some of it, but it is crazy. So then CJ. So this was the only mistake I made this week. So I'll go over this trade. Where's it at? Okay. So great setup here. So this setup could go both ways for sure. Obviously, if you zoom out, it's bullish, but we started creating some nice bearish structure here by taking out these lows to the left, creating lower highs. So we had this nice supply zone with clean liquidity in front of it, nice break structure to the downside, and price came up and reacted. Now, what happened this trade is, again, POC was at the, I think it was actually, yeah. So this one I shouldn't have taken. the reason I took this is because the creator of this volume profile said POCs can also act as resistance and rejected that perfectly. And there's a low volume node here as well, which can act as resistance. So with that close rejecting all of those, I was like, okay, like I personally never back tested this, but I'll enter. And then the more I sat there, I was like, POC is above my entry. I never tested if it's actually working as resistance, I'm just going to get out because trend is good, but not the clearest, and POC is above it. So I tried to get out at break even. I think it was 0.25%. Same thing. But yeah, I closed that. That is the only mistake I kind of made. But again, I would have lost anyway. So that was a total of, 2% that would have been totally avoided. Technically, 1.75% technically. If we would have took that one and then held that one to stop loss. So then our next trade, which was called the same day, was GJ on the 5 minutes. We're going to see if the 5 minute actually wants to show us the chart or what. I believe it's this zone. So this zone was called by my mentor. I skipped it. Reason I skipped it is, first of all, I hated the small structure. POC's technically in your direction, but the structure is so small and the liquidity is so rough. It wasn't for me. After doing that trade on CJ, it really was not for me. Your original entry would have been here, and you would have gotten, it would have been right there, and you would have gotten stopped out, and then if you took the re-entry, you would have got stopped out again, and then price went in your direction. So it's a okay to trade, or okay trade to take technically. You have your demand, you have liquidity, price tapped it. It's such small structure. POC is in the direction, but it also it doesn't have, since it's so small structure, you don't really have much places it can be besides in that area. So yeah, it can be in your direction, but you're comparing it to a very small structure trade compared to something on the 30 minute where it's actually big structure, and you can see like, hey, POC's down here or POC's up here, compared to something like real small where POC can really be like anywhere, and it's not really going to have an effect too much. So I personally skipped that. I didn't like it, and we had a lot of fake outs. So that trade lost, so that would have been down to 0.75% for the week. So Thursday, NFP, no trades. Pretty self-explanatory. NFP, high impact news, so I just personally skipped that day. And then Friday, GJ 5 a.m. So this was the trade I took today. This is the best looking A+ trade we even got all month. Literally all month. This is the highest quality trade. This is the best you can even get right here. So from this move here that causes bullish movement, this is the bottom demand zone. It's the lowest point you can get in at. It's where most demand, where most institutions and banks will be getting in at this price. We have a beautiful high followed by a higher low and taking out its own highs. We have amazing liquidity under it. Price is overall trending amazingly bullish. Price comes down, sweeps liquidity, amazing reaction here, just amazing reaction. We got in on the break of candle, which pretty much means when we break the previous candle. Stop loss down here. And to show you guys what an amazing POC you want to look like is something like exactly like this. Right there. POC up towards your take profit. That's 100% what you want to see. It's not always going to be, right here, obviously, because, obviously there's a lot of consolidation here. There's a lot of volume that's going to be here. This making a high isn't going to have that much volume. It's just buyers and then sellers pushing it down. But the main point is that your POC isn't down here or it isn't down here. So amazing trade. It's very, very, very unfortunate that news had to just ruin our position, because yeah, we had a nice initial push, little retracement, another initial push. Is looking great. News came out on this candle right here, and this is a 30-minute candle, so it didn't even have an impact for 30 minutes. It was just a normal candle. And then instantly all this volume came in at 10 a.m., drove the price down, and like after this candle closed right around there, I exited for 0.5% because originally I risked 1% on this trade because everything was A plus, and yeah, it ended up just wicking us out. So very unfortunate that I had to mess up such a good position like that, especially when it's USD PMI news, which shouldn't really affect GJ that much, and we were monitoring it, and it didn't affect it at all. So we're like, okay, cool. And then it just had a late reaction. I don't know what that was about, but all that volume just started coming in. Again, there's a point where you follow your strategy and you let trades play out, but you also have to react to what the market is showing you. And it being Friday at already 10 p.m. and you're shooting for, the next 30-minute higher high there, it's just with that bearish news coming out, 9 chances out of 10 it's not going to hit your take profit there, or it's not even going to get enough momentum to give yourself some space for the weekend for like gaps and stuff like that. So again, just kind of a good thing to cut your losses there. But yeah, that's what we did there, and that sums up pretty much our week. So yeah, here's my notion. So down 3% this week. So this is literally exactly what October. I did a lot of mistakes as well, but you can see we ended it profitable with this last week here at this 1 to 10. These were all losing trades, and I was all risking 1% on these trades. And that is when I went back and started testing out this volume profile, which you can see right there. And I tested it in September, October, November, and then I also, those were like kind of slower market conditions, and then I tested it in March and August when we had our 2 biggest months, and then I'm going to do another testing in a good month, and then I'll test some slow months, and then just pretty much combine all that data. And obviously we know when POC is at our take profit, it's very good sign. POC is under our zone, skip the trade. And the gray zone that we're working on right now is if the POC is at the entry, what do we do? And that's kind of what we're working on right now, because from what I tested right now is in good market conditions, POC at entry trades, they tend to win more than lose. In bad market conditions, POC at entry tend to lose more than win. So it might just be a gray zone area where it doesn't really have an impact, POC at entry. It could go either way, right? But all we know is POC at take profit acts like a magnet to push up, and POC under your zone acts like a magnet to push down to your stop loss. So that's what we're kind of working on right now. Again, this is the longest, this is the most disciplined I've ever been in my entire life. Like I truly mean that. I couldn't ever imagine trading for 3 weeks, having slow periods where I'm actually just down 3%. And that's it. Like, if you say to yourself, oh yeah, you're down like 3%, that's nothing. But like sitting through the weeks and actually taking a couple trades, you have one break even, you have 2, maybe you risk 0.5%. So you initially had like 2 or 3 losing trades for the week. And I used to just try to make that money back and trade a bunch. And now it's just like I'm so disciplined where it's just like, cool, follow my plan, enter the trade. I don't care about the outcome. I know the good trades, or I know the results will come in and it'll turn profitable over a long enough time frame. So I'm just here to do my job. So, yeah, like I said, next week we could get more losing trades and the month red, which would be my first red month. Technically, since I've started seeing profitable months at least. But yeah, that should be it for this weekly recap, and either I'll make another YouTube video on something I learned, or maybe this volume profile, the results I got, what rules I'll be implementing with it, or I will see you on the last week of November. So, yeah, that's it.